Namaste. This video is about the 5 yin poses to help us with emotional well-being. So in Chinese meridians, there are 5 main yin organs, and when they become disharmonized, there are 5 main negative emotions that associate with each of them. When we do yin poses, it acts as an acupressure. So then on the release of each posture, we help to flush out any toxins in the meridians and then restore harmony. So let's begin with the 5 yin organs. They are spleen, lung, heart, kidney, and the liver. So each of these organs, when they become disharmonized, associate with fear, overexcitement, anger, sadness, as well as worry. This video, I'll show you 5 yin poses that will help to harmonize these 5 negative emotions, and they will bring back a lot of emotional well-being and ease in your day-to-day life. So let's begin. The first posture helps with harmonizing our sadness and grief. And this is associated with the lung meridians. The lung meridian runs from just underneath our clavicle bone and all the way down to the thumb. So the postures that we're going to do is to open our chest. If you're practicing at home, you can use the blocks or bolster, but you can also improvise. So the pose that we'll do is called broken wing, and come onto your belly. So in broken wing, come onto your belly and then bring your left arm, in this case for me, and directly outside of the shoulder. And then your other hand will be under the right armpit. So I'm going to switch hands so you can see when I go into broken wing. So now my left hand is under the armpit and then the right arm is directly aligned with the shoulder. And then slowly peel off the body and push away from the hand under the armpit and roll on top of your right arm. You can bring the left foot behind you to help support and then extending your right leg out. For a lot of people, they feel they need some support under the head, then you can bring a block under. So now I will feel, for many people, feel a tensile force along the pectoralis major, maybe the biceps. And this posture, broken wing, helps to harmonize our sadness and grief, which runs along the lung meridian. So this is broken wing, and you can stay here for about 3 minutes and then switch sides. Always do both sides so you feel balance. The next pose is to target what's called overexcitement in Chinese meridian theory. So overexcitement isn't a well-being emotion, because when we always feel like super excited, the heart is not rested. So the goal in harmonizing the heart meridian is to coming back into this neutrality, a sense of contentment. So the pose that helps to resonate with harmonize our overexcitement is the Anahatasana pose. In Anahatasana, the English name often is called the melting heart. I always like to use blocks because this helps to alleviate the tension in my neck. So if you have blocks or 2 very big books, place them onto your mat. And then bring your forearms onto the blocks. You're coming onto your knees and then walk your knees back and then extending your arms forward. So you see that my shoulders and my arms are a bit elevated off the ground. You can put your forehead onto the floor. Now with the blocks, you can see there's a lot of mobility in the neck, and which is the benefit of using 2 blocks. If you want to intensify this pose, simply walk your knees slightly more back and then gently bring the sternum, the chest, onto the floor. Anahatasana helps to target the fascia along the chest, as well as opening the armpit muscles along the underarm, the triceps. The heart meridian is considered the empire in the meridian kingdom. So that means when your empire or your heart meridian is unrest, the whole the balance, the harmonize in the entire system will get thrown off. So treating our heart is almost a priority. The heart meridian runs from the center of the armpit all the way towards the little finger. So doing Anahatasana, I suggest doing about 3 minutes to begin. If that's too intense, dial down to 2 minutes. And this really helps to settle our spirit, our heart, our empire of the kingdom. So let's move on. The next posture is to help us to alleviate anger. So in our modern day-to-day life, maybe through relationships, through work, we accumulate a lot of frustration and anger. And according to the Chinese meridian theory, these frustrations embed into our liver meridian. So the liver meridian starts in our toes and then coming into the inside of our legs and then inside of the thighs and all the way up towards the underside of the rib. The best pose that I personally love is the dragonfly, because when you come into the dragonfly, which looks like this, you open your legs to the side, and for a lot of people, this pose targets the adductors inside of our legs, which is where the liver meridian runs. In dragonfly, you open the legs as wide as you're able to, and always in yin, we never want to go beyond our physical limits. We always respect what's called the physical edge. So you open it to the amount that you feel comfortable, you feel the sensation, but never over it. Here, extending into your torso and then tilting the pelvis forward, anterior pelvic tilt, and you walk as far forward as you can. Maybe you rest your forearms onto the floor. For a lot of people, having a bolster in the length, in the long way, just press the bolster against the pubic bone and then rest your belly on top. This gives it a lot of support. I also like to put my hands under my chin, and that really helps to support the heaviness of our head. In Dragonfly, I welcome you to stay in this pose for 3 to 5 minutes, and you will see 5 minutes is actually quite a lot. So have your stopwatch there, and you can always start with 3 minutes and then over time progressively add the time. The feet, you see, you just let your legs soften. If you need to have a little bit small amount of tension holding the legs into place or to resist it from going beyond your physical limit, you're welcome to do that as well. Be mindful to come out. We always want to come into the pose and go out of the pose slowly in yin, and that is to avoid shocking our tissue. After the dragonfly, remove the bolster. I like to use my hands to bring my legs in and then do a few windshield wiping, and that's just to bring fluid back into our fascia. And then you can take a short rest. So resting between yin poses is crucial because it brings hydration back into our muscle tissue. So the next one is to treat our fear. So often, again, in our human life, we might experience our day-to-day with a lot of fear. We might hold into our perineum, the connection to grounding and safety, and we're unable to just feel at ease in our being. So the kidney meridian is what governs our fear, or irrational fear, what I like to say. Because fear is essential in our survival. But it's when we are fearful for nothing, and that is the negative emotion that we are specifically talking about. So the kidney meridian runs at the bottom of the foot inside of the ankle, and then inside of the legs, and all the way up bilaterally. All meridians always run bilaterally and then end at the beginning of our collarbones. So the posture that I picked to help you harmonize our irrational fear is the half butterfly. So coming into half butterfly, bring the soles of one foot inside of the thigh, just like if you would do a tree pose but you're seated. Your front leg can be directly in front of you or just slightly open, but never go beyond the mat because that will morph into another pose. So in half butterfly, it helps to target the hip flexors into your bent knee, and then the hamstrings as well as the low back, and then perhaps the upper back for most of us in the extended leg. Coming into your half butterfly, slowly walk your way forward. You can allow the spine to curve. And that is the beauty of yin, where we're relaxing into your spinal column. And when you allow your spine to curve, you're actually creating space between the vertebrae. So again, you can use a pillow or bolster. I personally love placing the bolster just against my belly. And then I come into the resting half butterfly. If you need a block, you can also support it. So a lot of people like to put the block like right here, and that might leave a mark on your forehead. So I like to put it underneath. That's a beauty trick. So I'm turning my head so I can talk to you, but you're also welcome to put your head down. So half butterfly, again, recommended holding time is between 3 to 5 minutes. And again, start easing into it with 3 minutes and then build your time up. Of course, switch sides after you do one leg and then go on to the other side for half butterfly. And this pose helps us to harmonize any irrational fear. So coming to the last pose is resonating with worry or excessive thinking, pensiveness. So the meridian that governs it is the spleen meridian, and the spleen meridian actually pair up with the stomach meridian. And this posture called Sphinx is super ideal to help us harmonize any excessive worries. So the spleen runs from the toes, inside of the legs, and all the way up towards the armpit. And its partner, which is the stomach, runs from under the eyes, down the side of the cheek, side of the neck, down through the nipple line, down the side of the belly, along the legs, and then coming on to your toes. So coming on to your belly for Sphinx. You bring the elbows under the shoulders. The common mistake for a lot of students is they bring the elbows too far towards the waist. And you see right away I collapse and it's very hard for me to hold this posture. So to avoid that, bring the elbows forward so that it stacks underneath your shoulders. The feet can be together or slightly apart and keep the lower body nice and loose. So normally in Vinyasa or Hatha Yoga, the Sphinx or the Cobra is nicely activated and engaged. So in Yin, it is quite the opposite. We are coming into a relaxation of the upper body so that we're sinking gradually into our scapula, our shoulder blades. And you can see that my head comes into more of a loose engagement. There are choices here. You can look forward, which kind of initiates a tranquilizing, calming sensation, or you can bring the block under your head. And this is extremely calming here. If the compression in the low back, which is a healthy compression in Sphinx, if that's too much, then I suggest engaging a little bit more in the upper body. So I often like to tell my students that your shoulder blades, how much you're engaging into your arms to support the shoulder blades, is your gas pedal. So the more you relax into your shoulders, for a lot of students, they feel a lot into the low back. So it's a good thing to feel into the low back, but it's not so good when it becomes pain.
So use this as a form of gas pedal. Pushing into your forearms as less compression into low back. More relaxation means slightly more compression for some people. If this is not enough for you, maybe you're like, I'm not really feeling much into the low back, then come onto your hands, lift your elbows up. This is called seal. And seal has the same effects as Sphinx, which targets your stomach and spleen meridian. So the more you walk your hands towards your pelvis, the more intense this pose is. Again, coming into softening of the shoulders and into the scapula, and then allowing the shoulders to come towards the earlobes. Use it as a gas pedal again. The more you push into your hands, the less passive compression you feel into your low back. You can look slightly forward, or I like to look up sometimes here, not for too long, maybe for about 10 to 15 seconds, to feel into an awakening sensation, more energizing. And then coming back, slowly coming onto your belly to rest. Don't rush into changing positions yet. I like to rest into my belly. You can also bend your knees and then do a couple windshield wipings to relax your pelvis. To rest, you can come on to a child's pose or flip onto your back in Shavasana. And resting about 1 minute to 1.5 minutes is very sufficient. So here we go. Those are the 5 poses for you. And these 5 yin poses resonate with harmonizing our negative emotions in sadness, in anger, excessive worrying, overexcitement, and fear. I encourage you to practice this whenever you can. Thank you for watching.